In today's video, we are going to be explaining the entire lore of the Committing Tax Evasion in Minecraft series. It is currently on Season 1, with a Season 2 on the way if Tax Evader 43 hits 500 subscribers, so it would be greatly appreciated if you hit that like and subscribe button. Judging by the name of the series, you might be thinking, how can this possibly have lore? Well, let me tell you, there is a lot for us to unpack here. So without further ado, let's get into the video. In the playlist, there are 7 videos, or as Tax Evader calls it, episodes. The first one is essentially a pilot of the series, his first creation, but it is still very important to the story, showing us what an average day in this world Tax Evader 43 is living in. As the video starts, Tax Evader 43 is apparently looking for someone to be his friend, asking multiple villagers, but they all seem to flee or run away from him.
Why are you guys running? Come back! Come back! Hi! Yo, where are you going? Oh, don't do it. Don't do it! No!
We even see him trying to negotiate with a pig, but even it rejects his friendship.
Hello, can you be my friend?
Although, we quickly learn why the villagers run away and fear him from the provided flashback.
I have done literally nothing wrong.
Flashback.
We get to see his violent and chaotic tendencies, seeing him bomb a library full of villagers, kill an IRS agent right at his doorstep,
Hello, I'm from the IRS.
shooting a villager to death because they said something rude to him,
What did you say?
and burning the village. But wait, if he burnt the village, then why is it not in ruins now? More on this later. After the flashback, we see Tax Evader 43 get jumped by the IRS, an IRS agent with 4 iron golems ready to kill him if he resists his tax payment. But he just pulls out a bazooka and kills all of them. Wait, did the floor he destroyed just regenerate?
Bro, why is it still raining? Stop!
After the attack, he gets angry because it's still raining. But something hears him. What answered his call? As we can see from the chat, it shows that Ad changed the weather to clear. This is our first telltale sign that this whole world is a simulation. Now you may be thinking, that's crazy, but it makes sense. How can this world have so many regenerative properties? And why is there IRS agents? Now let's take a step back and look at Tax Evader's character here. He lives in this quote-unquote village, in what seems to be a flat world. As what we've seen from him burning the village down with no effects, and the floor he destroyed just magically regenerating. There's something wrong with this world. He has violent, chaotic, and compulsive tendencies. But apparently, now he's lonely, and just wants to make a friend, have someone he can talk to. Desperate enough to even ask some pigs. His arsenal includes an assault rifle and a bazooka. He also has a pistol. Let's continue. It's almost like the simulation has been crafted specifically for Tax Evader 43. So now that we've established that this is all taking place in a simulation specifically built for him, based on a flat world village, and who Tax Evader 43 is, we can continue, because this is where everything changes. After the attack, Tax Evader finds a donkey.
What is that?
This donkey has supernatural abilities such as flight and immortality. Tax Evader 43 tries to kill him with a shotgun, but he just comes back and hides in the well.
That was weird. Okay. What was that? Hey!
This well is going to become very important, as it is a centerpiece for the story and sometimes a hiding place. We can add this shotgun to Tax Evader 43's arsenal. 2 IRS agents approach Tax, who kills both of them. The noise from the shotgun awakens something. A Minotaur. Tax Evader 43 shoots at the Minotaur and it goes away, but what is happening here? We've seen 2 anomalies so far, the donkey and the Minotaur. We know the donkey has supernatural abilities, flight and immortality. But what's up with the Minotaur? He has iron armor, a shield, and a strange-looking diamond axe. This is the Diamond Minotaur axe from the Twilight Forest mod, the same mod that has Minotaurs. But these Minotaurs have no armor and golden Minotaur axes. The Diamond Minotaur axe can only be obtained by taking it from the Minoshroom boss. So why is he here in this simulation? And what did the donkey want from Tax Evader 43? Let's continue. Tax Evader 43 returns home without a friend. He goes into his house and watches the YouTuber Queso, who crashes out and destroys his setup.
What do you mean bro's built like a 1x1 Lego piece? What even is a 1x1 Lego piece? Yep, you're banned. Have a good night. Yo! What's good, what's good, rap, what's good, chat out the back, baby?
The ginger giant falls from the sky and starts devouring multiple buildings. Tax hides in the well and witnesses him eating his house. And we are introduced to a new character, Jerry.
Oh, wait, did he just eat my house? Oh, Jerry, run! Jerry, run! He's gonna eat you!
How does Tax Evader know this person? Because they are friends. But in the last episode, he didn't have any? Whoever is controlling the simulation must have wired this villager Jerry into his memory and used him as a friend. Tax Evader and Jerry make a plan to stop Queso since his house was eaten. Tax Evader's arsenal was wiped and now he needed a bazooka. But if this plan didn't work, they would blow up the entire village. As Jerry was building him a new bazooka, Tax was planting TNT underneath the village. When the bazooka is ready, he fires at Queso, but he eats the missile.
Yep, you're banned.
No way you just ate the missile!
Tax Evader baits another random villager to flip the lever and blow up the village, while Tax Evader and Jerry watch at a distance. After this, it's revealed that this truly is a simulation and that someone is controlling it. We can see in the background that there are other simulations, meaning that it's not just this individual in particular. There is a whole organization of people that control these simulations, but more on that later. This person controlling Tax Evader's simulation simply regenerates the village, like nothing happened. Now we know why the village has regenerative properties, and the third anomaly that has entered this simulation is gone. Let's take a step back. It's been revealed that this world is a simulation, being controlled by this unnamed person who works for an organization that manages and controls other simulations. And every time we see the IRS intervene with Tax Evader, it's this person testing Tax Evader to see what he will do. We don't know why, but we know that he's not alone in this simulated reality. He has been given a friend, Jerry, and two anomalies entered the simulation for reasons unknown, the donkey and the Minotaur. We didn't get to see the donkey in this second episode, but he will be making a return.
What is that?
The next episode begins with Tax Evader 43 being chased by the donkey. After escaping, he searches for Jerry. Instead, he's met by the donkey who takes Tax Evader to a mysterious place.
Yo, what is this place?
The donkey explains that there will be a great war in the village, and during this war, Tax Evader's eyes will be opened to a world beyond their current simulation, controlled by a faction called the Simulate. Jerry interrupts and attacks the donkey. They flee and go back through the portal, which takes them to the Minotaur's house. They see the Minotaur planting flowers.
Just get out of here. Wait a minute. Jerry, run!
After another chase and attempt to escape the donkey, Tax Evader 43 and Jerry decide to build a trap for the donkey. They attempt to poison the donkey, but the donkey outsmarts them by changing his voice and then disappears into the well.
Hey!
Frustrated, Tax Evader asks Jerry to build a nuclear death ray to deal with the donkey. While Tax Evader goes to find the donkey, Jerry builds the weapon. Tax Evader 43 confronts the donkey and uses the nuclear death ray to defeat it. Now we can finally understand why the Minotaur is here. The Minotaurs from the Twilight Forest are being led by this one Minotaur officially named by the Lord General Braxus, who has entered the simulation and is now trying to open a portal to the Twilight Forest to bring his army. The scene then shifts to Mark and another individual discussing Tax Evader 43. It's revealed that Tax Evader has succeeded in all their tests, leading them to consider using him as a weapon of war to bring back the Primus Imperium. They review footage of Tax Evader 43 defeating IRS agents, including scenarios where Tax Evader 43 bombs and confronts IRS agents. Finally, Mark sends Agent Steve on a mission to kill Tax Evader 43 as his last test.
Tax Evader 43 must die.
Now what from we've gathered, the donkey is a cosmic harbinger, here to warn Tax Evader, the Minotaur. General Braxus is here to conquer the village with his army, likely assuming it's the overworld and not a simulation. We are introduced to the Simulate. This organization is behind the simulation, and the one controlling Tax Evader 43's simulation is named Mark, who is apparently speaking to his boss, the leader of the Simulate. They send this new character, Agent Steve, to test Tax Evader one last time before they release him. They are planning on using Tax as a weapon of war in the real world to bring back a lost empire they call the Primus Imperium, which seems very important to them. Let's continue to the next episode and see what happens between Tax Evader 43 and Agent Steve.
This should be easy. Time to die.
Get out!
Agent Steve goes to Tax Evader's house while he's sleeping, but he wakes up and points his bazooka at him. After that, he does this, which is just straight up disrespectful. Like, you don't gotta do all that, man. Tax Evader goes to wake up Jerry, who's sleeping on the floor.
Good morning, Jerry. So what if it's 4 in the morning? I'll be right back.
He decides to go run an errand, which consists of stealing 4 pigs and send them to go to a party that didn't invite Tax Evader and kill everyone inside.
They're throwing a party. They did not invite us. Kill them all. You hear that? That means they're all dead.
From what we have seen so far, Agent Steve is an assassin that works for the Simulate. We can see that he's a specialist in eliminating certain targets, such as Tax Evader. Although his first attempt has failed so far, he won't give up that easily. On the other hand, Tax Evader is genuinely killing villagers with pigs for no reason.
Time to die.
Agent Steve finds Tax Evader and is about to kill him until one of his pigs jumps in the crossfire, saving his life.
You must die.
No. Don't do it.
Say goodnight.
It's daytime now, you idiot.
What?
Tax Evader escapes and gets into a chase with Agent Steve until he arrives with a helicopter.
I think I'm safe.
Think again.
Where did you get that? Bye.
Tax shoots it down with a bazooka. After the attack, Tax Evader gives his pigs a reward by feeding them in the most inhumane way possible.
So I have your carrots over here. You guys see this guy? All these carrots can be yours if you kill him. Get him.
Meanwhile, Agent Steve's helicopter has crashed and he is recovering from the attack.
Tax Evader 43 must die.
Agent Steve finds Tax and chases him down once more, but Agent Steve goes inside of his house and finds the nuclear death ray.
Now I can see what weapons he has. What's in this black box? What is that? It says nuclear death ray. There's no way.
Bro, what are you doing in my house?
You have a box in here that says nuclear death ray. Look. How did you even make one of these? What does a nuclear death ray do? What does it do? What does this thing do? Tax Evader, I'm not even interested in killing you anymore right now. What is this? Explain. What is this?
Tax Evader flees and shoots Agent Steve's voice changer, which he purchased off of TikTok shop for 1 million pennies.
He broke my voice changer from TikTok shop.
We can add this sniper rifle to his arsenal. He gets cornered and digs a tunnel underground.
What is this place?
As Agent Steve traverses the tunnel, Tax Evader pops out, threatens to obliterate him. He disarms Agent Steve and puts him inside of a cage.
Now get in the cage.
What are you going to do?
This?
Agent Steve, Gideon.
He tortures Agent Steve and uses his own weapons against him before Mark pulls Agent Steve out of the simulation. He speaks to the boss, discussing the confrontation. The boss mentions releasing him from the simulation, but Agent Steve refuses, having seen what Tax Evader is capable of firsthand.
But let's just do one last test.
He consists on doing one last test, so he can get a second chance to stop them from releasing Tax Evader into the overworld. He goes to the hospital and recovers. After he returns to the simulation, he calls Mark and tells him to generate him an army of IRS agents. This last test, directed by Agent Steve, is called The Hunt. He used this opportunity to kill Tax Evader before they would release him. His plan was to lead an army of simulated IRS agents to purge the village, tasked with destroying everything in their path to find him and show no mercy. Agent Steve knows that this has to happen, because if Tax Evader is released, horrible consequences could take place in the overworld. There's not really much else to unravel here, since this episode is mostly straightforward. So let's continue to episode 5, The Hunt, where everything we know about the simulation will change.
Yo, I'm kinda hungry.
The episode begins with Tax Evader eating an entire potato and wheat field because he was hungry. A broadcast from Agent Steve activates, informing the viewers about his arsenal and violent tendencies. Jerry was watching the broadcast on his makeshift TV and quickly goes to warn Tax Evader, who is throwing Molotovs at villagers.
What's the hunt? Jerry, what's happening?
The hunt for Tax Evader begins. We witness the simulated IRS agents destroying everything in their path to find Tax Evader. And him and Jerry hide in an underground bunker. Eventually, we get to the chaos happening on the surface as the IRS purges the village. The simulated IRS, led by Agent Steve, has now taken full control over the village. We can see villagers that the IRS allowed to live being escorted into a prison.
Brought to Agent Steve for questioning after the hunt is over.
The Minotaur, General Braxus, is awakened by the sirens of the hunt. He prepares to unfold his plan and defends his home against the IRS, who assume that the Minotaur is Tax Evader. They fail to get inside due to the barricades. They send backup and explode the wall of the house.
This has to be Tax Evader.
What is that thing?
The Minotaur throws TNT at the IRS agents, takes his flowers, and hijacks one of their helicopters. He flies it and is being followed by other IRS helicopters. He destroys them with his TNT. And crashes his own helicopter into a nearby building. They realize that the Minotaur isn't Tax Evader, and the Minotaur begins to assemble the well to construct his portal to the Twilight Forest. He throws the diamond in the well, and the portal ignites. His massive army rises from the well, and we get to see a flag for the Minotaur Empire. This is what the donkey was trying to warn Tax Evader about. This was the reason he glitched into the simulation, to warn Tax Evader about the Minotaur invasion. But now that the donkey is dead, it's too late. General Braxus has opened a gateway between the simulation, which he thinks is actually the overworld, and the Twilight Forest. We don't know why the Minotaur Empire wants to invade the overworld. Maybe it's because they have already taken over the Twilight Forest and want to expand their empire into the overworld. We don't know their reasoning, but we know that now they are here in the simulation. Let's continue to the next episode and see how Tax Evader 43 and Jerry handle the Minotaur invasion. The video starts by detailing the brutal, chaotic, and apocalyptic period for the village after the Minotaur invasion, leading to the IRS constructing a wall in order to protect their home base from the Minotaur army.
The villagers that weren't slaughtered by the Minotaurs were imprisoned by the IRS. But one question still remains. Where is Tax Evader?
The protagonist, Tax Evader 43, returns to the devastated village after being gone during the hunt, encountering the Minotaurs.
What are these things?
We can see that the IRS is also struggling against the Minotaur invasion. Agent Steve is frustrated, trying to figure out how to defeat this new enemy. After the greatest transition you have ever seen, we get to see General Braxus in his fortress on the bridge, looming over the conquered village. Two Minotaur soldiers request that he needs something to symbolize his rule over the army. He requests some of his Minotaur soldiers to fetch him a golden helmet. This means that General Braxus isn't the leader of the Minotaur Empire. He is only the general of the army. But since the Emperor isn't present during the invasion, and is in the Twilight Forest, he gets a golden helmet for himself. We don't know the true identity of the Emperor of the Minotaur Empire yet, but maybe we will find out in later seasons. This golden helmet General Braxus has acquired is meant to symbolize his rule over his Minotaur army, showing his absolute power and dominion. Later, Tax Evader and Jerry prepare for war against both the IRS and the Minotaurs, setting up a battle plan table, weapon storage, and even a flag with a nuclear symbol. Inspired by the IRS wall, Tax Evader 43 gets Jerry to build him one while he goes to the Minotaur fortress to spy on the Minotaurs. Tax Evader spies on the Minotaurs and gathers information about their plan of attack against the IRS, revealing that General Braxus, who calls himself the Minotaur Chief, plans to get through the IRS wall using TNT. The plan is for some Minotaurs to dig 5 tunnels underground that lead them under the IRS wall and plant TNT at the end of these tunnels. After the TNT explodes the wall, a huge amount of Minotaurs will storm the IRS home base and conquer it. By now, we know that General Braxus, aka the Minotaur Chief, has his sights set on the IRS. The reason being their advanced technology. They have modern weapons and tech, while the Minotaur soldiers use iron armor and golden Minotaur axes to fight. He believes that if he conquers the IRS, they will be able to conquer the overworld, showing us that he's still convinced that this is not a simulation. Tax Evader 43 returns home, admiring the wall Jerry built to fortify their own base.
Whoa. Jerry did all this? Jerry, this is nice. Alright, let's make our battle plan.
Whenever the bombs go off, they decide to use this moment of vulnerability to attack.
Did you hear that? Let's go check it out. So, I overheard a plan the Minotaurs were making. And it involves TNT, so that might be what it was. This could be our best chance to attack the Minotaurs. Most of their soldiers would be at the IRS home base fighting. We don't need a plan. We got this. Grab your weapons and come on.
While Tax Evader 43 and Jerry prepare for war against the Minotaurs, the plan General Braxus made to conquer the IRS is unfolding.
here's what we do. We bomb the entire village, killing the Minotaurs and Tax Evader. Easy win. What's going on out there? Oh, that's just great.
While the IRS and the Minotaur army engage in a ferocious battle, Tax Evader and Jerry get ready to perform a siege of their own.
Get him! Kill them all! Die! 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 Jerry, get him!
They manage to kill off all of the Minotaurs left behind and control their territory over the village for a short while. But General Braxus is informed about this and gathers more soldiers from the portal. Meanwhile, at the IRS home base, Agent Steve escapes the wrath of the Minotaur army and is able to call Mark to generate more IRS soldiers to defend the IRS home base. The simulated IRS agents and golems are able to successfully defend the IRS home base against the huge Minotaur army. The surviving Minotaur soldiers flee the IRS home base through their tunnels past the decimated IRS wall. Meanwhile, Tax Evader and Jerry encounter the extra soldiers from the portal and are able to kill them by strategically using a trench and killing them off with the nuclear death ray. The surviving Minotaur soldiers from the failed siege on the IRS home base returns to General Braxus, who is not in a good mood. He orders them to find and kill Tax Evader and Jerry, leading to a chaotic battle. They march at the command of General Braxus, ready to redeem themselves for the Empire.
What is that? Jerry, get back in the trench! Yo, Jerry, can you build a structure for me? Here's the blueprints, buddy. It's out of power! Jerry, look out! Jerry, no!
During the battle, Jerry tragically dies, causing Tax Evader to swear revenge on the Minotaurs.
Jerry, no, don't. Jerry, don't die on me. Don't die on me, Jerry. Jerry, please, no. Jerry! He's dead! They killed Jerry! No! They must pay for what they have done.
Suddenly, an agent of the Simulate pulls Tax Evader out of the simulation. Tax Evader learns from the boss that he was taken in by the Simulate and placed into this simulation. They wiped his memory and placed him in the simulation to be trained as a weapon of war to bring back the Primus Imperium. We get to see these flags during the presentation the boss gives Tax Evader, which are apparently the people responsible for the fall of the Primus Imperium. We don't know who they are yet, but maybe we will find out in Season 2. The boss goes on to explain that the Minotaur invasion was an accidental event within the simulation and wasn't a test fabricated by Mark. The Minotaur, General Braxus, somehow glitched into the simulation to bring his army through a portal, thinking that the simulation was the overworld. Tax Evader decides to use this opportunity to rescue Jerry. Since everything was a simulation, he thought that maybe he could go into the files and restore Jerry. He looks through them and finds the deleted folder where all simulated entities go after dying. He forcibly opens a portal to go there through the console and goes on a mission to save Jerry. While he's in the deleted folder, he meets a familiar face. The donkey was killed by Tax Evader 43, meaning he's also in this digital afterlife. The donkey's appearance seems to have changed during his time in the deleted folder. He's become fully corrupted by it. His body is completely skeletal and his eyes glow red, similar to the beacons around him. He has not forgotten the day Tax Evader 43 sent him here. Tax Evader decides to talk to the donkey and asks him for help against the Minotaurs, but the donkey tells him that it's already too late and that he tried to help Tax Evader in the past but was ignored and eventually killed. The donkey has an outrage and sends deleted ghosts to go after him. Tax Evader runs off and finds Jerry. He tells Jerry to come with him, but he refuses to go and accepts his fate.
Finally found you. We gotta go. Huh? What do you mean no? No, I mean like, we gotta leave. We gotta go to the portal. Jerry, I can't just leave you here. No. Jerry, come on, let's go. I'll never forget you, Jerry.
Tax Evader 43 is ultimately forced to leave after Jerry refuses.
I'm gonna miss him.
So what happened?
I don't want to talk about it.
Tax Evader returns to the Simulate Command Center and decides to avenge Jerry. Realizing he can use commands, he goes to the console of his simulation and types in God Mode Tax Evader 43 before going back into the simulation. The entire course of the story has changed. After General Braxus opened a portal to the Twilight Forest during the hunt, his massive army has plunged the simulated village into chaos. The IRS no longer has control over the village, and they had to fortify themselves. But the Minotaurs have built a huge fortress. And when Tax Evader 43 and Jerry came back, the Minotaurs killed Jerry. And now, Tax Evader 43 is on a path of vengeance, planning to use God Mode to avenge Jerry. But what is God Mode? So far, we can assume it's a game mode higher than survival or even creative. But that's all we know. We'll have to play the next episode to see what God Mode is and if Tax Evader will be able to avenge his long-lost friend, Jerry. Let's move on to episode 7, the final episode of the series. Tax Evader returns. Driven by his vengeance for Jerry and fueled by his God Mode powers. Full of hatred, he finds a group of Minotaurs in the village and uses his new God Mode powers to slaughter them all. He returns to his base to find it occupied by a new faction called the Village Defense Union, or VDU for short, formed by prisoners who escaped the IRS. The VDU explains their goal is to get rid of both the Minotaurs and the IRS. and return the village to its original state before making it an advanced civilization called the Village Imperium. These dreams are quickly crushed by Tax Evader 43. He kills the president of the VDU and brainwashes their soldiers, basically handing him an army. Agent Steve is shown struggling with the Minotaur invasion and the escape of prisoners. Tax Evader 43 then orders for his slaves, unpaid workers, to build an extinction chamber to eliminate all the Minotaurs.
Cut the slack. Hurry up. We don't have much time. Work faster.
Meanwhile, General Braxus is informed that Tax Evader 43 has returned, and now he has somehow turned himself into a god. After hearing about Tax Evader's return, he goes to the well and talks to someone through it, informing them that Tax Evader has acquired godlike power. The Minotaurs back in the Twilight Forest answer his call and show General Braxus their creation, a Minotaur airship. General Braxus is astounded by this new advancement, the Minotaur airship. They have achieved the power to rule over the skies. General Braxus had finally found something that could stand a chance against Tax Evader 43's God mode powers, but he needed more. Now that he has a crew of Minotaur engineers that will help construct more Minotaur airships, the Empire has a fighting chance against Tax Evader. But the Minotaurs weren't the only ones preparing for war. Tax Evader was informed that the extinction chamber was complete, so he came up with a battle plan. His new brainwashed army and some withers would lay siege to the Minotaur-occupied village, while Tax Evader would go to the Minotaur fortress and settle business with General Braxus. Tax Evader 43's plan is to conquer the Minotaur Empire with his brainwashed army, withers, and God mode powers. But after that, he intends to place the surviving Minotaurs into the extinction chamber. But what is the extinction chamber? The extinction chamber is a structure that Tax Evader has built with his brainwashed army as a result of his warpath of vengeance against the Minotaurs for Jerry. They killed his only friend, and now he intends on killing every last one of them. Meanwhile, in the Minotaur fortress, General Braxus is ordering his new engineer crew to build more Minotaur airships. Tax Evader 43 sends his brainwashed army into the Minotaur-occupied village where a huge battle would ensue. Tax Evader's brainwashed army had successfully conquered the village, but there was still the Minotaur fortress left, and Tax Evader 43 was already on his way. General Braxus deployed his fleet of airships to defend the fortress against Tax Evader, and they are able to actually knock him to the ground. But he gets back up and annihilates them all with lightning bolts. Tax Evader descends onto the bridge of the fortress, looking at the Minotaur chief, General Braxus. Tax Evader decides, since he has God mode powers, that he would kill General Braxus in survival mode with his bare hands, so the battle would be fair. They fight on the bridge, and Tax Evader manages to defeat the Minotaur chief. He destroys his golden helmet and knocks him off the bridge, where Tax Evader 43's brainwashed army would escort him into the extinction chamber.
No.
The Minotaur chief, General Braxus, had been defeated by Tax Evader 43, and now he was being escorted into the extinction chamber by Tax Evader's brainwashed army. He looks around at the other cells and sees that all the Minotaurs in the village have been imprisoned. General Braxus is locked up in a cage hanging from the ceiling since he is the leader of the Minotaurs. Meanwhile, Tax Evader 43 is still at the Minotaur fortress and is demolishing it along with everyone inside.
So this is where they're all coming from.
Tax Evader 43 destroys the portal to the Twilight Forest, closing off any further Minotaurs from getting through. The Minotaur Empire has lost. Tax Evader 43 explains to the imprisoned Minotaurs their fate and how the chamber works. Once Tax Evader flips the lever at the pedestal, lava will be dispensed onto them, and each of them will experience a painful, agonizing death to avenge Jerry's death caused by the Minotaurs. Before Tax Evader 43 kills all the Minotaurs, he decides to make a visit to the IRS home base and kill everyone there. But a familiar face was watching the chaos and decided to put an end to Tax Evader 43 once and for all. Agent Steve had a plan to use nuclear bombardment to make sure this monster doesn't escape the simulation, make it to the overworld, and finally complete his mission. He goes underground into a room we haven't seen before and deploys the nuke. Tax Evader 43 sees the helicopter in the sky getting ready to drop a nuclear bomb on him. Agent Steve was about to kill him the same way Tax Evader killed the donkey, with nuclear energy. If this worked, Tax Evader 43 could have died here, but he decided to do something about it. Tax Evader was able to hijack the helicopter and steal the nuke, taking it to his base.
It's him, it's Tax Evader.
Yo! Where is it going? Where's the helicopter going?
Yo guys, I stole a nuke!
Agent Steve had been defeated once again, and he knew that he had to come up with something to stop Tax Evader 43 from being released into the overworld. so he decided to build a huge mech that he could control and use to kill Tax Evader. He figured out how to use the mech and went to Tax Evader's base and killed many of his brainwashed soldiers. Mech would stand no chance against Tax Evader 43.
I'm gonna kill you, Tax Evader. I'm gonna kill you.
My turn.
Agent Steve's only hope to stop Tax Evader 43 had failed, and he was ultimately defeated. Tax talks to Agent Steve and rubs it in his face that he would escape the simulation, the very thing Agent Steve has been trying to stop. Tax Evader decides to kill Agent Steve, who tries to escape, but his efforts are futile. Agent Steve tries to escape using the helicopter Tax Evader 43 stole from him, but Tax Evader just strikes it down with a lightning bolt, teleporting him into the extinction chamber. At this point, Tax Evader 43 has imprisoned the entirety of the surviving Minotaur Empire and Agent Steve his arch-nemesis, and then he went on a side quest to free all the simulated villagers so they could see what happened to their village. But he wasn't finished. His plan was to dispense lava on the Minotaurs and Agent Steve, and then deploy the nuke he stole from Agent Steve into the village. And that was exactly what he did.
You don't have to do this. Hello, everyone. It's finally time for me to kill all of you. Whenever I flip this lever, you're all going to be engulfed in molten lava. Doesn't that sound fun? No, you can't do this. Say your final goodbyes in 3, 2, 1. Okay, it's new time. Has been avenged. Jerry has been finally Avenged.
Tax Evader 43 had finally gotten his revenge, and the Simulant pulled him out of the simulation and into the overworld. But he was exiled on a small island instead of living freely in the overworld.
Oh, where am I? Wait a minute. Hey! Hey! Come back! Hey! Come back! Don't leave me here! No!
A Simulant broadcast informs us about this. Before being hijacked, someone called
We will see each other again very soon.
Tax Evader 43 used his God Mode powers to kill all of the Minotaurs and avenge Jerry, but the Simulant decides to exile him on a small, isolated island in the middle of nowhere. He's now free from the simulation, but at what cost? What now? We will have to find out in Season 2, when Tax Evader 43 hits 500 subscribers. Speaking of which, it would be very appreciated if you could subscribe or drop a like on this video. That concludes the first season of Committing Tax Evasion in Minecraft. See you guys in the next video.